cool, huh? Yeah, Festback, it was a thing back then.
Really?
Yeah, this is when I was in radio, and we had a whole like live thing at the Festback. Remember we had a hunt and all that?
Oh yeah.
It was like a million years ago.
You were in radio.
Yeah, way back then.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Used to do a radio thing. I don't know if you heard it. Yeah. Google it. It's not on Guampedia, but you can Google it.
Oh, you did radio?
Yeah, 704. Good morning. Let's get Senator Amanda Shelton, and this is her baby, this curfew bill. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Sabrina. How are you guys?
Hanging in there.
Yeah, we are.
How are you?
How are you doing, Senator? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Hanging in there as well.
So kind of a rough day. I mean, outside looking in yesterday for you is this bill, this curfew bill, which I know that you really believe that the governor needs this authority. Can you just kind of like, you did it in session I saw yesterday, but maybe state your case a little bit for the audience?
Sure. Thanks, Chris. A couple of weeks ago, I wrote a letter along with the vice speaker to the governor asking her to implement some further interventions to help us stop the spread of the virus. And she came back a couple of days later saying that she consulted with the Attorney General and that she needed some additional powers to allow her to do that. And so, very quickly I drafted this bill to give her those specific powers to implement these measures. And so yesterday on the floor, there was a lot of discussion about it. And I know, that many of our colleagues and I as well have been receiving emails from individuals and concerned constituents. So about individual rights and about how, they don't wish to give the governor any more power to do these things. But, my position from the very start of all of this has been that, I really want to do anything we possibly can to protect the people. I want to make sure that, we're doing every single thing within our power and whatever is possible for us to do. And so I thought that this bill was still necessary at this time to allow her to set this curfew.
And so we are hearing about this curfew. That's what we're hearing a lot about. But what about some of the amendments that have been passed and added into this bill? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I can't seem to find any amendments that have been passed on the legislature's website.
Sure. I can have a copy sent to you of the substitute version that I introduced on the floor yesterday. So I drafted a substitute version in consultation, of course, with our legal counsel in the legislature to really understand what the powers of the governor are that already exist under the emergency powers of the governor. And so that's why we introduced that substitute version that again includes the curfew part as well as a shelter in place provision for the governor. And lots of colleagues came to me in the time that we introduced it until we got to it on session floor, who expressed that they thought that it just wasn't detailed enough, restraining the governor's powers, that it was just a very broad brushstroke that we did in the first version of the bill. And that's why I made it specific to only this COVID emergency. And then I put in a provision that the curfew could last no more than 15 days. And so everything was very specific to just responding to the COVID emergency. It wouldn't last any longer than that or be, excessive, more excessive than it needed to be.
Point of personal privilege, Senator. So you kind of, you're right. The people made those points, and then you went back and kind of whittled away and fine-tuned it. That being said, we did see some of the support, drop off yesterday. Where are you this morning, and is there any effort on your part, caucus maybe, to kind of try and re-impress upon some of your colleagues who dropped off of this to maybe come back on? And
well, I respect, everyone's opinion and what they stated on the floor yesterday. I will continue to push the bill. There are still some of our colleagues who have not spoken on it yet. And, of course, there are some who have already expressed that they they're not going to support it. But I'm going to still push forward today, and just again, what you said, impress upon the body that this is something that I still believe in. I still believe that we need to do everything that we can to protect our people, because in a couple weeks from now, as the Governor's Physician Advisory Council stated, we haven't hit our peak. It might be coming in May, and it might be coming in June, and we're praying very hard that it won't come, that those numbers won't actually come. But if they do in a couple months from now, then I want to be on the right side of history. I want to know that I did everything that I could have done to protect the people and to save as many lives as possible.
You mentioned earlier that you'd heard from your constituents, you've received emails, phone calls. What was their main concern about the bill?
I think they're very concerned about giving the governor any additional power or allowing her to implement more interventions that they see as infringing on their rights to move and to do whatever they please during this time. But I have to say that I have received many, many messages from others who have expressed that they would like to see anything at all that needs to be done to encourage people to stay where they are, to stay home, and to take all of these measures seriously. So I've heard from different nurses who are working at the hospital, who are seeing this firsthand, who are really affected by it and just want us to do whatever we can. And I've heard from doctors as well, and just concerned families in the community, and lots of Manamku who are calling me up and who are sending messages through my family saying that, that we just need to do everything we can, and they are supportive of this. So I'm very aware of both sides of the issue, and I respect both sides of the issue. And for me, this is really what I believe, that I need to do everything that I can do to help protect the people.
Mm-hmm. There was some discussion on the floor, and I think a little bit of it may have been included in the Vice Speaker's amendment, about the need for more transparency from the administration. What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel that the public is being adequately informed about what's happening with COVID?
I have to say, I really do appreciate the governor's daily press conferences, her daily briefings, and a lot of times her staff is very good about communicating with us at the different legislators on issues that we're asking about, and sometimes we could use a little more information. And so I know my colleagues on the floor wanted to hear very specific plans from the governor about what she wanted to do with these extra powers we would be giving her during this time. But there's no specific plan. She has said in the press conferences that she needs this additional power, of course, a very limited and temporary power, so that she can implement these measures. But we're all craving for more information and just to help us move along to see what we can do, because I know for me and my colleagues, we want to help in any way we possibly can. And so having information, having data, understanding the plans that are ahead of us will help drive our efforts as well. I
wonder how hard would it be if, maybe the governor deputized the chief of staff or, any one of the cabinet people to open that line of communication, because I think if she's continuing to go hard on this request, then if there's questions from the senators, then maybe someone should be made available to, so that instead of you being the middleman or middlewoman, they can just get it straight and ask. Is that even a possibility, or is the governor too busy?
Oh, no, I'm sure the governor is very busy, but, we do have some communication right now with her staff, and so I appreciate their efforts, and I understand that, they're also very busy.
Well, I guess we want to wish you luck. I know you got a big day ahead of you. Are there any consolation plans if this thing dies today? What's the way forward for you?
Today I am still focused on this bill and wanting to move it forward, again, to protect our people, to stop the spread of COVID. But, I am looking ahead as well, because I know that at the end of the day, this is going to be a big hit to our government, our whole economy, and just the loss of revenues that we're going to experience is going to be a big deal. And we know that all of this federal stimulus money that's going to be infused into Guam is not going to help us recover from a loss of revenue. It's very specific how we can use the money. And so I'm looking at how we can move forward and open back up the economy and how we can help our people get back to work. And I think I'm grateful right now that we have these military members who are buying out the hotels and starting to infuse some money that way. And so I hope that we're collecting on our hotel occupancy taxes, and that's going to be some kind of infusion for us. And really, otherwise they would be totally empty. And so I think that we've been very generous in that way to allow our military brothers and sisters to come in and to use the hotels in this way. And I just want to make sure that that's a win-win for us. That's a win for Guam as well, and that we move forward and we find other means of economic activity that can help us.
What about, I know there's all this talk about giving the governor power and not to give her power, but what about helping people that are waiting in line, hungry, the bottleneck that's happening at the Department of Public Health? They have 20 caseworkers. In 2 weeks, they saw 400 new applications. And one of the problems is that, people can't go out and get this long list of required documents that they need just to be approved. Is anybody in the legislature working on that? I
mean, I think you guys could use your powers to, maybe kind of corral some of these agencies, write some letters, or, spur some type of action. Because, Senator, I'm sure you understand that part of the narrative is that, we're doing all this stuff to give the governor extra powers, but, no one's trying to give the people any extra powers or anything extra.
Well, Chris, we had two measures that were on the bill. That was the RISE Act to get some money straight into the pockets of our people right now, especially those who have lost their job or lost hours in recent weeks. And then we had the unemployment insurance program that was also on the agenda, and we weren't able to move forward with those because of some other things that were happening. But those were measures we were really looking forward to, because the same people who are now signing up for SNAP would have benefited from this unemployment insurance program that we were trying to implement, and would have definitely benefited from our bill with Senator Regine Lee that would have put the money directly into their pockets. So I know that those are not completely off the agenda. They've been set aside if they're needed down the line. But you're absolutely right. Anything that we can do on our end to speed up the process for everyone trying to look for assistance now is, I will look into that.
Yeah, maybe provide some staffers or, something, I don't know.
Well, thanks, Senator Shelton, and good luck today at 9 a.m.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I'm sure you'll be watching.
I'm pretty sure we will. Point of personal privilege, you gotcha, we will.
He's using that too much.
Sorry, okay, I'm out of order.
Substitute version over to you guys so you can see what we're working with on
all right.
the floor.
Thank you,
Senator.
Okay, thank
you.
Okay,
be safe.
Okay, Joss. 7:17. Hey, I got to do news, and going to get Linda from Public Health on the line. It's containing COVID, Guam's favorite, I-94. Good morning.